And before I get myself cancelled, I will not try to guess which tribe is what country. Hello everyone, and welcome back to Robe Reviews, the show where one opinionated man in a bathrobe watches and critiques movies. And today, I promise you guys a positive review, because frankly, I'm frustrated and exhausted from watching new releases that I don't enjoy watching. So instead, we got ourselves a feel-good, happy movie to look at, because I'll be reviewing Disney's Raya and the Last Dragon.
My name is RAYA. Our lands have been at war for as long as we can remember.
This movie was written and directed by a bunch of different people at Disney, as is customary for their animated pictures. These movies are really made by committee for the most part, where a bunch of different styles and personalities and ideas are all brought together into a final product that is usually quite controlled and curated. Disney usually picks a specific culture to base their movies on and explore. For example, Coco and Mexican culture, Moana and Polynesian culture, and Frozen, which I guess is just white people. The Nordic? The Swedish? And in this case, Raya focuses on Southeast Asian culture, although the movie never really explicitly states what country or culture it's really exploring. It seems to draw on several different ones, and actually in the movie there are 5 different tribes with varying characteristics. And before I get myself cancelled, I will not try to guess which tribe is what country. Like most Disney animations these days, we get a central character that's thrust into the world with a problem, we get some talking animals/creatures, and we get some fantasy and magical elements. It's everything we've come to know and love in these movies. Minus the songs. There's no songs in this one. I guess they decided to let it go. And just to preface, I love these kinds of movies. I am absolutely biased when it comes to this one. It's what I call a cozy movie that just makes you feel safe and warm and comfortable just while watching it. And it just taps into the inner child region of my brain that makes me feel good. So without getting too far ahead of myself, I got my robe tied tight, drink at the ready, so without any further ado, let's get into it. So let's start with the obvious. The visuals and animations and colors and textures are simply amazing. I don't know how they do it. There's just something about the visual style in these movies that even if everything else is horrendous, I can just sit back and watch it all day. But thankfully, everything else wasn't horrendous. The story and the initial setup for this movie is actually really interesting. The fantasy element plays really well, and I was engaged from the start of this movie, especially when the evil force shows back up. Which is a really clever change of pace, because usually in these kinds of movies we get some cartoonishly evil bad guy that we cut back and forth to, but here we get an evil force that logically everyone should be against. So it gives this movie room to dive into all sorts of themes, like selfishness and opportunism, and bigger moral concepts as our characters go through the story. It's also not all fluffy, feel-good Disney aspects. And there's some serious emotional moments in this movie. Grab your tissues. After all, that's Disney's bread and butter, to present a feel-good movie, but then hit you emotionally as well. But at its core, we have a familiar basic story that's executed pretty well. And for a Disney animated movie that's geared towards a younger audience, I'm okay with that. Disney's also known for putting well-known actors as the voices behind the characters in the movies. And overall, the voice acting is really great, with the exception of one character. I know Kelly Marie Tran took a lot of hate for her role in Star Wars as Rose.
I wish I could put my fist through this whole lousy, beautiful town.
But she did a really good job here as Raya in this one. I had a really great time overall watching this movie, and it kept my attention the whole way through. And there's something to be said for simple pleasures like this. However, I did dislike a few things, and there were a couple of strange character decisions and moments that really held this back from being one of their greats. The big one for me is that I really hated Awkwafina as the dragon in this movie.
Have you ever done like a group project, but there's like that one kid who didn't pitch in as much, but still ended up with the same grade?
Nope. For me, it was a mix of her voice and the slang and the young pop culture references they tried to force into her dialogue and character. And all of those things combined just didn't fit the imagery or the allure or the significance of her dragon character. The energy and tone of her voice just felt disconnected with every situation she was in. I think it was a questionable casting choice. Another big gripe of mine was the addition of the Khan baby and her monkey pals. Yes, you heard that right. You can see this in the trailer, front and center. I don't know why they put it in there. It makes this movie look like a joke. But the Khan baby and its monkey pals end up joining Raya on her mission and end up being actually important secondary characters. It was just a reminder how manufactured these movies are to appeal to a young audience. But even without the Khan baby and its monkeys, I feel like kids would have loved this movie, maybe minus a laugh or two. But for me, it felt unnecessary, and it went too far to try to be comedic through absurdity. And just a tiny critique, there are some character decisions near the ending that don't exactly make sense. You'll see when you get there. and I can't help but think that there was a more logical or rational way of getting to the ending where our characters didn't have to make such stupid decisions. But in the end, it wrapped up real cute, and they saved it. So there's that.
Wow.
So as is tradition, I'm going to give this movie a score out of 100. So drumroll please.
I wish to join this fellowship of butt-kickery.
A score of 80. I really just can't help but enjoy a movie like this, whether it's from Disney or Pixar, really just for the animation alone. I mean, have you seen how good their water animation looks? But I also really enjoyed the story and everything else they did with this movie, minus a couple little things. If they were to recast and rewrite Awkwafina's character in this movie, it could have been the 85 plus range for sure. Either way, this was a really enjoyable watch. So if you want to get cozy and watch something cozy with some surprising emotion and heart in it, this is the perfect movie for that. You don't have to think too hard about this one either, and sometimes that's exactly what you're looking for. So anyways, there are a lot more movies to watch and a lot more reviews to be had. I'll see you guys on the next one.